again. This is Fenelton, former butler to the great Mr. Worthington III, who turns out is an amateur sleuth. The guests had sat to dinner at the dining room, and the first course was a pepper and squash soup. I have to admit, I questioned Jenny's abilities during the appetizers or hors d'oeuvres, but that soup, I had a taste for myself, was pretty good. So we pick up where we left off. Jenny and I were cleaning up the soup bowls as this conversation occurred.
Frederick, here I was worried that I would be missing Nori's exquisite culinary skills tonight, but Jenny's squash and pepper soup was beyond words.
Well, my friend, I am so glad your cynicism has been abated.
Or maybe I was just hungry.
Nothing like warm soup on a cold, stormy evening.
At least for now, it seems the rain has stopped.
I wonder if Jenny would be willing to share the recipe with me. Most evenings I'm alone for dinner and prefer a nice bowl of soup and a petite salad.
Well, I can certainly ask her.
I thoroughly enjoyed that soup, but if I show up at home with the recipe, my wife might think I am judging her cooking.
Good thinking.
So what's next on the menu?
I believe we will have a special amuse-bouche.
Amuse who?
It's similar to an hors d'oeuvre. It's often a single serving of one of the chef's specialties.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It is just so unfortunate that Madame Marcardi can't be enjoying this.
Well, if you would excuse me for a moment.
The Admiral left the table. This was shortly before, perhaps 7:15. Then Jenny and we laid out the second course, which, as you heard from Mr. W., was her amuse-bouche. Everyone waited patiently and politely for the Admiral to return. But as some time had passed, Mr. W. suggested that they dive in.
Delightful, delightful.
Indeed.
Excuse me for interrupting.
Oh, not at all.
Oh my God, Jenny, the amusing bush was so good.
Well, thank you. And again, I apologize for interrupting, but Senator Pratt, you have a phone call. They said it was urgent.
7:15. That would be the results from... I'm sorry, Frederick. Everyone, I gave my assistant this number.
Oh, not at all. Politician's day is never over, is it?
I remember the Viscount never got through dinner or his ritual nap when he was in Parliament.
Is there a place I can take it in private?
You can use the phone in the kitchen. It's the closest.
But Jenny...
No, it is the closest, and the senator will have privacy as I'll be in the serving pantry finishing the salad. Senator, if you will follow me, please.
It sounds fine, and I can have a peek at dinner, eh? Thank you, Genevieve.
So indeed, Jenny escorted the senator to his phone call. Meanwhile, I started putting out the salads, which was the next course, and suddenly the Admiral appeared, looking rather flushed.
What did I miss?
Nothing yet. Wendleton left a plate for you. You have to try it.
What?
Jenny's amazing bush.
I see.
Oh my.
Frederick, why did the senator refer to Jenny as Genevieve?
It's her first name, actually, but she goes by Jenny.
I see.
Oh, Jenny is so much better. Genevieve sounds like an old broad. Don't you agree, Freddie?
What do you have to say about that, old friend?
Oh, after the amusing bush, as Alexis refers to it, was cleared, we put out the salad. They waited for the senator to return before eating, and he got there about 15 minutes after his phone call. It was about 7:30. And so the guests ate their salad rather quickly. And then there was a scream, a shocking scream from the kitchen. Mr. W jumped from the table and went to examine while I tried to calm the guests in the dining room.
Oh my, Jenny, that is a nasty burn. Perhaps the Admiral should have a look at it. He's had medical training.
No, please. I don't want to inconvenience anyone. I hate to admit it, but I do it all the time. I'm the clumsiest chef. I just think if I should just get some gauze.
Of course. We can go upstairs to the guest bathroom. It is well stocked for such emergencies.
No. I know where it is. You go back to your guests, and seriously, I'll be fine.
Perhaps Fendleton should finish the dinner with your arm being compromised.
Well, luckily I'm left-handed, so we should be fine, and the dinner will be fine.
My dear, your meal thus far has been beyond fine. You take your time. I prefer nice conversation between courses and not rushing a meal.
Well, thank you, sir, and I won't be long.
Not at all.
Indeed, Jenny went upstairs to take care of her arm, the nasty burn on her arm. As Mr. W says, he prefers good dinner conversation and not rushing the meal. So I did not serve the main course, the main entree. Instead, the guests were entertained not by Madame Marcardi, instead by the delightful actress Alexis Dupree.
I know the whole left on the steps of a church thing sounds so cliche, but every word of it is true.
And you never knew your mother at all?
No, all I have is this picture that was left with me. I carry it around with me all the time.
The picture you gave to Madame Marcardi?
That she then promptly almost threw back at me.
Perhaps you had a vision of your mother, and it was not a good one.
And perhaps you could ask her for yourself. Madame McCarty just strutted by, heading to the parlor.
What? Madame Marcardi?
Maybe she's in a trance.
I should check on her. Fendleton!
Leave it alone, Frederick. She's a woman who makes up her own mind. Trust me.
So, Miss Dupree, if you don't mind me asking, is that even your real name?
Well, of course not. Alexis Dupree is my stage name. I was given a last name by the church, which was ridiculous. Only my real first name. Well, I suppose it was, because it was written on the picture.
And will you share with us?
Oh, sure. It's,
Madame McCarty!
What?
The madam. Now she's heading back upstairs. Rude not to say anything.
Odd indeed.
You can say that again.
Maybe you've had enough brandy for now. Where is Fendleton? I'll just have a look.
But before Mr. W could get too far, Jenny had returned from bandaging her arm, and all was well.
Very good, Madame Marcardi. I'll let them know.
Oh, thank goodness. Jenny is attending to her.
The main course is on its way, everyone. I am terribly sorry.
No worries.
No. How is your arm?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you for asking.
Oh, you're sure you're fine?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I believe Fendleton is already ready in the main course.
Of course.
And was Madame Marcardi all right?
Yes. She said she had to retrieve something she left in the parlor, and she said she'll join you for dessert.
Splendid!
Is it?
Do go on, Miss Dupree. You're certainly turning out to be more entertaining than the madam.
really?
Oh, in so many ways.
Alexis got to continue her story just for a bit longer, as Jenny and I finally served the main course of filet mignon. So pay attention now. As the guests were eating the main course, there was something that happened. Right after the filet was served, the actress, Alexis Dupree, asked to be excused to use, of all things, the head. And so I pointed her in the right direction to go upstairs. She returned about maybe 10 minutes later. And then the guests finished their filet mignon. Then we served dessert. at approximately about 8:30. When dessert was served, the Countess complained of a headache, and she went upstairs to fetch some medicine from her own room, and she returned. Dessert was laid out on the table, and Mr. W got concerned because he believed that the madam was going to be joining us for dessert. So it got to be almost 9 o'clock when Mr. W asked me to go check on the madam. And the rest, as you know, is history. Mr. W sent me to fetch the police because when he went to phone the police, don't forget this was the 80s, no cell phones, he discovered that the phone lines were down, probably from the storm. So once again, I was sent to town to fetch the police while Mr. W and the Admiral went back to the dining room to tell the guests what had happened.
I am sorry to tell you all this, but it seems that Madame Marcardi has been murdered. We found her dead on the floor in the old sitting room where she was resting. Yes, it is quite a tragedy.
How was she murdered?
Stabbed.
How horrible.
So this is real. I mean, you found her dead on the floor in that room, and this is not more just fun and games with the psychic?
I can assure you, Miss Dupree, that this is quite real.
How awful.
You've called the authorities.
Alas, not. The storm has apparently downed the phone lines. Fendleton is literally running into town now to summon them.
Well, I think I'll head out as well.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We must all remain here until the authorities arrive.
How could we possibly assist? I'm sure this was some sort of burglary gone awry. Crime is becoming so rampant these days in the States. I should return to England.
Perhaps, but for now, no one is going anywhere.
And how is that?
The bridge is washed out.
But the butler guy is heading to town.
Oh, I said he was literally running. And he is, through the East Woods.
So, some psychic gets killed by an intruder as she sits reading tarot cards, and we're all stuck here. Phone is dead. The bridge is out. This is akin to a movie in which Miss Dupree would star.
Ooh, you think? But who would I play?
The victim with any luck.
I can serve dessert. How about that?
Oh, yes, indeed, dear girl. Brilliant idea.
I fear I've lost my appetite.
Not me. Bring it on. This beats craft services any day.
Right, tomorrow night, the guests are all trapped, and Mr. W and the Admiral set about searching the house for clues. So tomorrow night, you will travel the house with them, and you will see pictures of more clues, and they interrogate some of the guests that are there. Tonight, we pick up where we left off. The guests are enjoying, or trying to enjoy, as they're trapped in the house, their dessert in the dining room, while my former employer, Mr. Worthington, or Mr. W, and his friend, the Admiral, decided to search the house for other clues. They started in the parlor, where, if you remember, I had started a fire right before dinner in the fireplace. And no, once again, yours truly, the butler, swear did not do it. Let's take a look at their first investigation in the parlor.
What are you doing at the fireplace?
I thought during dinner that I smelled the rancid odor of burning plastic, and I was not mistaken.
I'll open the doors. That's odd.
What?
The doors. They weren't shut properly. No wonder we felt a chill.
That needs investigating, but meanwhile, look at the treasure trove the fireplace has revealed.
Let's take a look at some pictures of that treasure trove Mr. W refers to that he has found in the fireplace. First up, a burned black canister, I believe used to hold film. And you'll also see a burnt piece of what appears to be negative, film negative. One of the viewers a few episodes ago said or referred that the gray cap that was found at the murder scene in the box from Mr. Bivens did indeed perhaps belong to a film canister, and they were correct. Then there was fragments of a letter that was burned in the fireplace. Requested, I have enclosed photographs of each and their staff. As you can see for yourself, quite perhaps is the word, interesting. Good luck, Thomas T. Biv, obviously Bivens. What you can't see in the picture is that after the Bivens is P.I. So people have asked, who is Thomas Bivens? Apparently, he is a private investigator. Another burnt letter. It seems some letters, then the money, perhaps. Keep quiet, perhaps. Signed by Madame Marcardi. Then there were a few other small pieces found. It appears that there was a piece of a burned check and the numbers 4378. 4378. And then another piece of the check that appears to say Renee and dollars or something dollars. So that fragment was also found in the fireplace. And last but certainly not least, another piece of burnt letter on a typewriter. Don't forget, this is set in the 80s. Worthing, fluential people would mean fraud that you and steal, and grandfather has France, maybe his wife, angsters. I believe that is a paragraph about my boss, Mr. W. And about this actress, ability, chorus line, L. Simon, but I found that could be about Miss Dupree. Retired from the, I don't know, that could be about the Admiral. But clearly, there was information on at least some of the guests that were in attendance that night. So let's get back to the Admiral and Mr. W at the fireplace and see what Mr. W has to say about those items.
And what do you make of it, Frederick?
In a word, blackmail. And I am not surprised at all.
What do you mean?
I told you that I had an agenda in bringing the madam here tonight. You see, I myself was being blackmailed by an unknown guilty party. It began after my visit to Christie's school and the madam's show. I suspected it was the madam, and I intended to expose her duplicity tonight.
I don't know what to say. How melodramatic of you.
And this surprises you? Grab a bag from the pantry so I can preserve this evidence. We will need to visit the scene of the crime once more, but first, once we secure the evidence, we must have a look at the lanai.
So, do you also think it's blackmail? That's what Mr. W thinks. So they bagged the evidence from the fireplace, and then they proceeded to investigate the patio, or as Mr. W formally calls it, the lanai.
Did you notice the damp spots on the carpet in the parlor just inside the French doors?
Of course I didn't, Sherlock.
Someone came in from the outside, and hence why the doors were not shut properly.
Back to the intruder theory?
Not at all. Not with a murder weapon gathered from the pantry. What is this?
What did you find?
This rope hidden in the bushes.
And?
Well, we have some like this. Or perhaps this is it, in the pantry.
A rope in the pantry. A wrench in the ballroom.
We use it to rope off the rooms when we open the house for the holiday tour.
Of course, of course.
That's the guest room the Countess is staying in.
Oh, you think she was planning on some late-night suitor? Like Rapunzel?
On the contrary, but let's have a look in her room in any case.
Let's take a look at what they found out there. Some rope long enough to reach the Countess's room's window and down to the porch, or if you call it, the lanai. Mr. W and the Admiral went back in the house. Before going up to the Countess's room, they stopped in the dining room where the guests had finished, well, what they wanted to eat of dessert. They were all in rather a melancholy mood. So Mr. W suggested that they go to the parlor to relax, now that he had cleared all the evidence, and to enjoy some digestifs. Of course, Jenny was forced to serve drinks since I was on my way to fetch the police. But before Mr. W and the Admiral could get to the Countess's room, Mr. W suddenly stopped in the hallway because he saw an odd piece of fabric sticking out of a closet door.
Another vital clue, Frederick?
Indeed. I believe this is the black cloak to be Madame's.
How odd.
Recall, she wasn't wearing it when we found her.
She was wearing it earlier when...
When what?
I mean, when she was reading our fortunes. Perhaps she finally decided to hang it in the closet, like any civilized guest.
Wait, what have we here?
What have you found?
Take a look. A tear in the back with small amounts of almost dried blood around it. You agree?
Extraordinary.
Indeed. And wait, what have we here?
What is it?
An apron with blood on it as well.
Perhaps the murderer wore it to protect their clothes from the splatter.
I'm not sure one carries around an apron for such occasions.
Well, but you said the rope and the knife came from the pantry.
Well, my friend, touche. Or
what? Wait! Jenny did it. Of course, the bloody apron.
Except you assured me the murderer was right-handed. And that, for the moment, rules out Jenny. She informed me that she's left-handed when she burned her arm.
Or she's ambidextrous. Remember, earlier today, she mentioned being an athlete, a skier.
A skier? Yes. But don't forget, she talked to Madame Marcardi when she came downstairs briefly.
Last. I thought we had our killer.
We must make haste to the Countess's room.
Mr. W and the Admiral went to the Countess's room. Before I tell you what they discovered there is the black cloak and the tear with some blood stains around it, the tear in the back of the cloak. Here is the apron with some blood stains on it. When they got to the Countess's room, they found that the window was not quite closed, the window that led down to the lanai. They also found something odd, which was a clock on a nearby table to the window that was stopped. It was an electric clock, and it was stopped slightly after 7:20. Then Mr. W followed the electrical cord that was plugged in near the window and saw this, that the plug had bent tongues, as though perhaps it was accidentally pulled out of the outlet. Hence why the clock was stopped slightly after 7:20. So after investigating the Countess's room, finding the clock and the not fully closed window, Mr. W and the Admiral returned to the guests in the parlor, and then they asked to speak to Jenny in the library.
And when you passed Madame Marcardi in the upstairs hall, she seemed fine to you.
Yes, she said she would join you for dessert.
And she was wearing her cloak when you saw her.
Yes, like a phantom in the night, she startled me.
I'm sure. And one last thing, Jenny. Where is your apron?
My apron? It's in the kitchen, sir. Should I be using it or wearing it to serve drinks?
No, not at all.
Is there anything else, sir?
Have you ever been skiing in Vermont?
Vermont, it's terrible skiing. I only ski in Colorado.
Of course. Thank you, Jenny. That will be all.
After talking to Jenny, they sent her back to the parlor to join the rest. The Admiral and Mr. W took a quick trip back upstairs to the scene of the murder. They wanted to look around one more time, and indeed, it wasn't unrewarding. They found a very small piece of a check stub that they had missed the first time around near a table leg at the table where Madame Marcardi was sitting. So this was the fragment of the check, an upper corner, and the number 4378. Once again, found by a table leg, the table where Madame Marcardi was sitting with her tarot cards. When they returned to the library, Mr. W had a very serious conversation with the Admiral. Perhaps now you'll find out whether he is truly guilty or not.
Before I proceed any further, my dear friend, I think it is time for total truth between us.
Whatever do you mean?
When we were investigating the scene of the crime, you recall I told you that what was not in the madam's bag that was more revealing than those items that were in the bag.
I don't follow.
Come, my friend, it's obvious. Your box of matches that she used to tell your future and put in her bag were not in the madam's bag when we found her. When you left the dining room, you went to see her. The lost love who jilted you at the altar, I suspect. You smoked your pipe, likely in your nervousness or anger and revisiting old wounds, and your penchant tonight for the brandy. You or Marcardi retrieved the matches from her bag, and I am sure they're on you now.
Brilliant. As always, of course, you noticed the missing matchbox. But how did you know she was the one?
Your reaction to her being here, your private chat in the corner before her readings, even though you seemed to dismiss my entertainment, as it were, and perhaps most telling, you slipped and called her Regina.
Perhaps I misspoke her name, Renee.
I would have thought that as well, if it wasn't for the picture with the inscription left under the door. The picture of a woman and a small child. A woman who looks quite a bit like a younger Madame Marcardi.
I swear to you, when I left the room, Madame Marcardi was very much alive.
And she was wearing her cloak, wasn't she? That's what you almost mentioned in the hall when we found it. But more importantly, why was her cloak removed after she was stabbed?
She was alive when I left, I promise you.
I am sure she was, my friend, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. No, as we both know, the madam was seen passing the dining room after you had visited her. But you have confirmed what I suspected all along.
And that is?
The significance of this picture. The same one I suspect Miss Dupree handed to the madam earlier this evening. The one she always carries with her. The one that was left with her on the steps of the church. The one of the mother that abandoned her.
I say.
Next, Alexis Dupree was summoned to the library for a chat with Mr. W.
Matricide, Miss Dupree, is not an uncommon crime.
A mattress?
No, the murder of one's mother, Miss Dupree, especially when one resents a mother who abandoned her on the steps of a church with only this picture. This is yours, I believe. What did you say about the picture at dinner? That your real first name was written on it? Your birth name is Gina. Is it coincidence that this is the name on this picture I discovered?
Where did you get that?
We found it on the floor in the scene of the crime.
Well, of course, I gave it to the madam, remember? Who put it in her bag, like the other stuff.
Not quite. The madam was suddenly overcome and handed it back to you. In fact, you said at dinner that she practically threw it back to you. So how did it end up at the scene of the crime? You had to put it there. You left the dining room once again to attempt to connect to whom you suspected was your long-lost mother.
Why would I suspect she was my long-lost mother?
You did from the moment she arrived here. You stared at her. You were seeing the young woman in the picture, now older, but you could tell. You cunningly chose to give her the picture as your personal item to see if she recognized it. And voila, it had the effect for which you hoped. It upset Madame Marcardi, your mother, Regina, the madam's real name, as confirmed by the Admiral.
Okay, sure, that's what happened, but I didn't kill her. I swear on my mother's grave.
Did you intend to use such an irony, miss?
I went upstairs to talk to her. I couldn't stop thinking about her during dinner. I knocked, but she didn't answer, so I slipped the picture under the door. That's all. I was just hoping she'd talk to me. I wanted to know if she was indeed my mother. But I didn't kill her. I've waited all my life to find my blood mother. But if our assumptions, Mr. Worthington, are correct, now I'll never have the chance.
Oh, there, dear girl. I believe you. And you have been a great help to me for sure.
I have?
Yes, and please, go back to the parlor and ask the Countess if she will come to the library.
You do believe me?
Yes, I do, but don't talk about this with the others.
Oh, hell no.
Indeed, the Countess was summoned to the library, and she was none too pleased.
Countess, please forgive me, but your help is vital in solving this crime.
I see. I have not been summoned to be accused.
For the moment, no, but I even asked the Admiral to leave us alone. I thought it best for our conversation to remain private.
Thank you.
First, when you visited your room earlier this afternoon, did you open the window or go near it?
No, I did not actually. My bag was on the bed, and I retrieved my pills. Then I went to the bathroom for some water. I don't even recall looking out the window.
What time was this? Do you recall?
Yes, it was 4:30 because I noticed the antique clock the Viscount had given your mother, and I was delighted to see it on the side table.
I put it there in preparing for your visit. I thought you would like it. Now, from your vantage point in the dining room, you could clearly see anyone coming up or down the stairs.
Yes, I could. I saw the Admiral go upstairs, then come down. The same for Jenny when she burned her arm, and the actress, Miss Dupree.
And that was it?
Yeah, of course. Just as we were seated, Jenny was coming down after checking on the madam about dinner.
And then there was you.
Me?
You left the table, and from my vantage point, though I couldn't see you, you went upstairs, specifically to see Madame Marcardi.
How dare you?
Countess, Francesca, you were a dear friend to my parents. Please, you can trust me.
I didn't speak with Madame Marcardi during dinner.
No, you didn't speak to her. But you went to her room, where you retrieved the ring you gave her to tell your future. The one that she put in her bag that is now miraculously back on your finger.
How foolish of me. An automatic response to put it on when I should have put it in my room.
I knew already it was missing from the madam's bag. And you didn't speak to her because when you entered her room, she was already dead on the floor, was she not? Now, the only question is, did you hate her enough to kill her as well?
What? I may not believe in psychics, but I don't go around killing them.
Madame Marcardi was no ordinary psychic, as I have come to learn before tonight. No, she's an expert blackmailer who knows no boundaries. And she was blackmailing the Viscount, which led to his suicide, did it not?
Oh, my.
You have expressed your disdain for Madame Marcardi all night and her psychic abilities. You implied that the Viscount was driven to suicide, What possibly would lead a distinguished, successful man as he to do so, if not permanent ruin by a blackmailer?
Your reputation as an amateur sleuth is understated.
I brought her here to unmask her as the blackmailing fraud she was, but someone, for the moment, disrupted my endgame. I understand why you hated her so much, and that is why, dear Countess, you were relieved when you accidentally discovered the mysterious death of Madame Marcardi.